Good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Satsang
Hi everyone.
with John and
Michelle, hi.
Michelle.
And John.
Hello.
Sure.
Hi. We trust you've had a lovely, restful Sunday, peaceful Sunday, and that you're ready for a new week ahead.
Yes.
And if you're not, well, by the end of tonight's Satsang you will be. You definitely will be. When we say ready, we mean reconnected to who you really are, reconnected to life, reconnected to the power of presence, because that takes us through anything.
That's why we kind of do this on a Sunday, so that it can reconnect you, set you up for the week.
Sets the tone for the week ahead. Yes, it does. It does. So welcome to everyone. And if you can, just send us a comment telling us who you are and where you're watching from. We like to know who we're talking to.
That'd be lovely.
And thank you for the hearts as well. Thank you for the hearts. And hello, who we got joining us there?
Well, let us know who it is, because we can't see your pictures.
Yeah, we can't see your
clearly.
pictures, yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
So welcome, and tonight we're going to be looking at the subject of when life's not fair. When life's not fair.
Which is quite often feels like life's not fair.
Well, I remember a certain part of my life, that was my mantra, life isn't fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've all been through that, eh?
Yeah, one time in my life it was very unpleasant, everything was collapsing, and I just had that thought pattern.
Yeah.
You know, life is really unfair. There I am, I'm a good person. Why is this all happening to me?
What did I do to deserve it?
So then we're going to be looking at that tonight. And if you have any questions or comments, then please type them up in the comment section. And if you would like us to talk on any particular subject or to give our viewpoint, perspective in any area of life, just type it up in the comment section and we'll look at that for future satsangs.
Hello, Gina. Thank you for telling us that you're here.
Yes, thank you for the heart. We like getting the hearts.
Thanks,
yeah, thank you. I'm going to wait for a few more people to join.
We'll tune in.
In the southern hemisphere we have these lovely late summer's evening, and it's hard to get ready by 7:30.
Yeah, 'cause it's still
In the
daytime.
UK it's 5:30. I mean, that's early.
It is early.
But then 5:30 in the UK is quite late now because of the darkness. Yeah.
Hi, Margie.
Inner child.
Hi,
Gina, you'd like us to
Inner
talk on the
child.
inner child. We can talk on that one. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Hi,
Thank you for the
Merlene.
suggestions.
Hello, Cecilia.
Yeah, if you've just joined us, we asked if there's anything that you want us to speak on, just put it in the comments box.
Yeah.
Because we try and come up with a little bit of a theme every week. It helps us to have a focus. We don't do much preparation, but we do have a kind of a focus so that we...
Topic.
Yeah, so we know what we're going to talk about for 45 minutes or so.
Yeah. Hello, Georgina.
Hi, nice to have you with us, Georgina.
Yes,
yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, we like to know who we're talking to, so just send us your name and where you're from. And, hello, Sonia from Peter Hook. Yeah,
it's a lovely community, huh?
Yeah.
It's good to get together.
You know, we're going through very challenging times at the one level, very transformative on another level, and taking the time to center ourselves like we do on a Sunday evening is really important. We can't overemphasize how important this, what I call the vertical plane, is in the changes that we're currently going through and the changes that are coming. And it's no good practicing presence when the shit hits the fan, because you're going to go back into your default mode, and if your default mode is the mind with its stories and stress and anxiety, you're not going to be able to access presence so easily. So it's good to practice it when life is not as difficult as it can be. So these satsangs are just designed to help us cultivate an inner sense of peace and presence. And that will stand us in very good stead for whatever happens in our lives.
Well, they're kind of a reminder, because a lot of you that join us every week are sort of on this journey. So you know a lot of this. Some of you have done our Journey to Freedom course, some of you are on our Inner Space group, but all of us need reminders, because we all get caught up in the maelstrom of life, in all the craziness, and we sometimes forget. So it's just their reminders more than anything else.
They are.
You have the wisdom inside you already, You're not teaching anything you don't know.
Yeah, I always say just to be wary of anything new. Because really what real truth is, yes,
it's a
I have forgotten that. Yeah, it's a remembrance right from deep within you. Hello, Alison.
Yeah, we're not teaching you anything you don't know. You know this in you, right in your center.
Right in your core.
And it's a recognition of that and a remembrance.
Yeah.
As opposed to learning some new stuff. We've all got too much stuff in our heads anyway.
Yeah, it's unlearning. It's unlearning.
Yeah.
That's really what unschooling. We're unschooling ourselves from our programming.
Old age, yeah.
And thank you for the hearts. We love getting the hearts. Thank you for
Alison,
the hearts.
nice to have you with us.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So the topic for tonight, which we're going to be looking at, is when life's unfair. When life's unfair. So let's start this evening by doing the most important work of the evening. But it's not work. Not work at all. It's the opposite of work. Yeah. There's got to be a new name for it.
Unwork.
Unwork. Yeah.
There's got to be something better than that.
Hello, Viv. Hi from Bulawayo. Yeah. Lovely to have you with us. So let's just center ourselves in the only place that's real from an experiential point of view, and that's the present moment. You might like to shut your eyes for this exercise because it does help withdraw your mind from the external circumstances you find yourself in. But you don't have to. You can light a candle and gaze into the flame. We always light a beautiful candle here, and a candle is a very centering focus point because it's a plasma. The flame is not something solid, it's something moving every single moment. And by focusing on that, we actually clear our mind from the world of things, the world of solidness, and come into the present. So you can do an open eye, looking at a candle, or a flower is another one, looking at the beauty of a flower, or you can just gently close your eyes. So whatever you wish. So I'm going to close my eyes. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the hearts. Appreciate that. Thank you. So you might like to close your eyes and just bring your awareness inwards, withdrawing your mind from all other times and all other places, and just resting your awareness in the sacredness of just this moment here and now. The most precious place you can ever occupy is the present moment. It's our direct connection to the divine. The divine is omnipresent. The divine is presence. So we might like to take a very deep breath in and a long breath out and just release the stories that we've been holding on to today in our mind. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And let's just rest in this present moment, focusing more on the out-breath than the in-breath. The out-breath is a reconnection to stillness, to being. And we make the world of doing so important to us. We, as humans, look to the world of doing for our salvation, to save us. And yet we are human beings. We forget the being part. We get so caught up with the doing part that we become human doings. So right now, take another very deep breath in, filling your whole body up. And surrender. On the out breath, just reconnect with being. Letting go. Just releasing, letting go. Now we're coming up to holiday time for many people. And holidays are surely a time of letting go. Letting go of all the troubles and concerns of the year. And letting go, letting go. There's a song that's been coming through my awareness quite a lot in the last few days. An old song by the Bee Gees. And it's something to do with a holiday. You are a holiday, which doesn't make any sense at all. But if we look at it, that holiday is a letting go, a releasing. It's a reconnection to the joy of living. Isn't that what a holiday is? Reconnecting with life. You are that. You are that holiday. That holiday is not some time in the future when you are not in this place but a different place. A holiday is clearing your mind of all that blocks you from that joy of presence, of beingness. We can be sitting on a beautiful beach. All the circumstances can be right for us. And yet the mind can still be very active, thinking, did I switch the stove off back home? Did I give enough food for the dogs? Or have I tied up everything at work? And you're sitting on a beautiful beach and you're not on holiday. Your mind is still troubled, still worried, still concerned. So as to recognize that this holiday is within us. It's a holiday from the mind, from the busy mind. And that is what meditation is. Meditation is to take a holiday from the busy mind. There's nothing mystical about meditation. It's just a retreat from the incessant thoughts that we attach our awareness onto, and coming back to the joy of living, to the peace of just this moment. So let's just take a holiday from our mind for a moment, just releasing all that no longer serves us in this moment. And take another very deep breath into your body. A deep breath is when you blow your tummy out as you breathe in, so you're drawing the air right down to the diaphragm. And then as we breathe out, just sink down into the present moment, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your torso, relaxing your forehead, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your hands and feet. This moment is enough. Recognize that truth. This moment is more than enough. It's beautiful. This presence. While situations and circumstances are constantly changing, presence is always here. If you think of looking at yourself in the mirror when you were 5 or 6 years old, what you saw reflected back was very different to what you see today. Everything in form is changing moment to moment. And yet what is looking through your eyes is consciousness. Consciousness without thought is eternal. Consciousness without judgment and without preference is being. So in this moment, let's connect with being. Just being here, now, in this moment. We surrender into the arms of life. Life and presence are one and the same. Life exists nowhere else other than in presence. Life is the animating force of presence, animating all form with presence. The more present we are, the more beautiful we are. When we recognize presence in the form around us, the forms around us, we see beauty. Beauty is a portal into love. And we are, as is all beings, are love. We are love. Underneath the mind there's this beautiful ocean of peace. It's always here. This ocean of peace is what we yearn for when we go on holiday, and yet it's here. It's not in the future. It doesn't need circumstances to be this way or that way. We can be answering the phone, we can be busy and still be in this place of presence, of being. All it takes is one deep conscious breath to come back to the space between our thoughts, the sacred place where we meet the divine, where our heart opens and we embrace life exactly as it is in this moment. So take another beautiful deep breath in, long breath out. And keeping this peace and this presence with you, gently open your eyes. Thank you. Welcome to those that joined when my eyes were closed. Thank
Hi
you.
everybody. Thanks,
Hi.
John. It was really
Hi.
beautiful. It's very,
Did you take a
very
holiday?
calming. Yes,
Good.
I did.
Good. Nice to take a holiday. So we're finally finding the meaning of that
Yeah,
song.
we've been
Trying to figure that song. It was going through my mind,
now it's going
And-
through my mind.
and the words
Thank
don't
you.
make any sense when you read them at the
Just
sort
a
of.
holiday.
Yeah,
It's that one there.
that's right. Sing it. And but when you interpret it the way that I've just done,
Yeah,
it
it
makes
is.
far more sense. You know, there are millions of eyes can see, but why am I so blind? You know, and there are plenty of people can see the joy of life in this moment. So why am I not connecting with that joy of life? Only because I'm believing my mind, I'm believing my thoughts.
Yeah.
And when we stop believing our thoughts, we find what we're looking for.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Yeah. So what's happening astrologically in the stars?
Well, we've got a full moon coming up on Wednesday, Thursday, depending on where you are. For most of you, it'll be early Thursday. And with the sun's firmly ensconced in Sagittarius. And that's connected with fairness and justice. It's the sign that's connected with that. So we just thought we'd chat about fairness and justice as we move towards that full moon, which tends to ignite things, and this one's quite an igniting one. So I think we're going to need a lot of presence this week because it's quite blustery energy.
The energy is coming in.
Yeah, there's a lot of mutable energy which is very changeable, and there's fire energy, there's air fans fire, and in astrology air is the element that relates to our thoughts, and our thoughts fan the fire, and we've got Mars right next to the moon, so it's quite, that can be sort of it's blustery, it can be a little bit conflicting and fighting energy, and it's mostly fighting with our thoughts, fighting with the thoughts that we have about a certain person, or thoughts we have about a situation, or thoughts we have about life. So just be aware of that this week, that there might be a lot of that, a lot of thoughts, a lot of restless kind of moving energy. Nothing's really still right now. Everything's in the wind.
And that's
it's
wonderful.
changeable.
If everything is not still,
It's
then we
perfect.
can't find stillness in the things. So then we've got to step back from
Exactly.
things and find the stillness that underlies all things.
Inside, somewhere else.
And that's the
not
holiday.
Not in the form. That's the holiday.
That's the holiday,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, why is life not fair? And what do you do when life's not fair?
Well, I think most of us have had situations in life where we've said this isn't fair,
Yeah.
because it feels that we're being hammered by a person, a situation. Something's hammering us. The universe is hammering us, punishing us in some way, and then we try and figure out why we're being punished. We just want to unpack that a bit, because what is unfair?
Yeah.
It's the feeling or the fear that something's not right, that you've erred in some way, that you're not good enough in some way, and now you're being punished for it. And then that creates a whole myriad of reactions in terms of coming from that place of life's unfair,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
I remember reading many years ago about one of the fundamental human experiences and desires is for life to be fair, for those around you to be treated fairly, and for you to be treated fairly as well. You know, if you're giving, I mean, we were taught that as kids. You know, you've got to share your stuff
Be fair.
equally and be fair. So it is quite a strong human drive is for fairness. And we expect fairness for everyone to be living exactly the same life at the same time. And that would rob us, if it was like that, would rob us of the dynamic of life, of the contrast of life.
And what would fairness be, actually, if you think about it?
And
because who's it fair to?
Yeah, who's it being
So
fair
if it's
to?
fair to me, does that mean it's unfair to you? Because there's always going to be a balance.
Yeah.
There's always got to be a... So if you're going through some fairness, there's going to be an unfairness somewhere.
Well, there doesn't have to be,
But
surely.
there would be. There would be, because everything balances.
If we were all given one sweet and everyone got one sweet, then it would all be fair, wouldn't it?
Yeah, except that it isn't
No?
like that.
No.
So life isn't fair. That's the reality.
So,
It's the thought that it should be fair that causes the problems.
and it's the attachment to the world of form, to the world of things. That things should all be this way, and they're not this way. So actually, what is robbing us of the perception of fairness isn't actual physical reality, it's our thoughts about physical reality. Mm-hmm. And who's in charge of our thoughts? We are in charge of our thoughts. So when life is being unfair, when life is treating us unfairly, according to us, the thing to change is not the external world, because unfortunately, and I'm going to break it to you very gently, you're not boss of the universe. You're not in charge of the sun coming up tomorrow morning. You're not in charge of where Jupiter and Neptune are situated right now in the cosmos. Yeah, unfortunately.
I thought we were.
But you are in charge of one very, very important thing, and that is how we perceive the world around us. Now, if we perceive it just in a linear way, in a time-based way, yeah, life can be unfair, because there are certain times that, as you said, that we're up and certain times that we're down. There's certain times that other people are above us and certain times that other people are below us. And so we're not in charge of that, but what we are in charge of is how we perceive it. So instead of judging life purely in time as we see it, if we start to step beyond time into presence and accept that even this unfairness is actually perfect and fair. And that's quite a fundamental shift, because if you think of it this way, from a quantum physics point of view, that all of the physical world that we experience is actually a manifestation of an underlying energy field. And our thoughts and our feelings generate this, or we co-participate in generating this energy field. And so if we have thoughts of resentment inside us, or guilt, I've got more than other people, that's an unfairness as well. Why has the universe given me so much and hasn't given those people? I mean, it can be that way around as well. Then those uncomfortable feelings within us are feeding the field, which will ripple out in time and space, and we will have to meet those thought patterns that we have impregnated the flow of life with. So the most important thing is to realize that I am in charge of how I think and feel in this moment. And if I do want to experience fairness in the world, then I have to come back to balance within myself, because surely fairness is balance. And so it's to balance, to come back to that sense of fairness in my perception. Even though the world doesn't look to be fair on the outside, I know that there is just an unfoldment of balance taking place in this particular moment. And so therefore I don't build up the feelings of resentment or anger or regret or guilt inside myself. And that way, I think, we navigate the misperceptions of unfairness easier than getting caught up in the drama of the story and believing the story to be true.
And sometimes the victimhood of that. So you said the misperceptions, and this month that we're moving into is all about perception. It's about where is our consciousness, where's our perception. So if we're seeing it from the perspective of little old me that's getting hammered by the universe and it's not fair, then it's a very limited perspective, because we don't know the big picture. We can see a tiny, teeny little slit of the very big picture that is our soul. We can see it from a human perspective. So from the perspective of Michelle and the perspective of John, it can look unfair because you're comparing yourself with somebody else and saying, well, I just worked just as hard and I've only got that, or I lost all of that, or whatever had happened. So you're seeing it from a very limited perspective of this, of the human self. But when you are able to raise your awareness, and that's what this is all about, this work that we're doing, it's not work, the non-work that we're doing, when we're able to be in presence, as John says, and raise our consciousness and our awareness, we know that there's more, and that on a bigger picture, it's perfect. There's perfection in it. So as opposed to seeing it as this is unfair, it's kind of, what if I could see it as this is helping me grow? It's helping me expand. It's serving my soul's evolution. Might be uncomfortable for the human, because the human's licking its wounds saying, no, that was horrible. And, he's got a better life than me. She's got a better life than me. But if you take it from a higher perspective, and that's what this is about, it's expanded consciousness, it's expanded awareness. It's our theme for Inner Space this month, is expanded awareness. So if you take it from that perspective, maybe it's not unfair. Because the other thing, and I see it often in charts as well, is, there's obviously, from my perspective as an astrologer, there's an absolute perfect organizing design. Great organizing design. There are no mistakes. So on the soul level, we've chosen this, whatever this is. And if you can see it like that, I chose this from a soul level. How am I growing from this? Where's the unfairness? And then you're able to navigate your way through it without getting latched onto that very disempowered state of poor little me, I'm just being hammered by the universe.
Yeah.
We might have a human moment, but if we're shifting our awareness, you can have the human moment and then you can move back into alignment.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is what I needed to experience in this life at this moment.
And if you do step into that out of alignment moment, don't beat yourself up for it.
Normal.
It's another contrast. I found what it was like to become unconscious and get into my ego for a moment, and then step back. There's contrast. And we learn through contrast. We learn through that. And just what you were saying there, I want to just relate going to my life. When I think back 20 odd years ago, 22 years ago, when life was very unfair, and I had that feeling within me of unfairness. I worked so hard. I was a good person, and yet there was so much shit coming down on me at that stage. My companies were going insolvent, and my marriage was not that rewarding, fulfilling, and life didn't have the meaning and the purpose that I thought it ought to have and should have. And I should have been rewarded for all the work I'd done. And that was very, very uncomfortable for me to go through that liquidation process, letting go of my old world. And then what happened when I did all of that, which I didn't do it willingly, and I was pushed through that tunnel, that dark tunnel. But what evolved from that is a whole new perspective on life and a whole new way of living my life. And for the last 20 odd years, my life has been so different to that old life, which I had to let go of. So it's to let go of the life that you think you ought to be having so that you can actually live the life that you're destined to live. And the really difficult, unfair times are actually a portal into something more magnificent, more beautiful than you could ever hope for. So let that be, that's my direct experience. Every time I've gone through hardships, it's really been, a letting go of the old so that a newness could be born. But I have to let go of the old first before the newness. We want the newness and still hold on to the oldness, but you can't do that. And so it is to trust that life has a perfect, fair plan for your life. And from a higher perspective, you will see the fairness in life. With, as I say, with the wisdom of hindsight, you can see how beautiful and fair life actually is.
And you might not always see it in this life. That's the reality. You might only see it in a future life, where you look into, oh, that's why. That's why I had to go through that. So it's just it's a perceptual shift. Rod, I just want to pick up there something that came to me when you said with the liquidation. Your life had to liquefy.
Correct.
It had to dissolve. The form had to dissolve.
Like a caterpillar.
Yeah, and the ego had to dissolve for you to actually go through what you've gone through.
Yeah.
And we resist that like crazy because we're so attached to form.
We don't want form to liquidate.
No, we do not. We want this form to stay like this. Thank you very much. We don't want it to change. And we're in times now where everything is changing. Everything in the world of form is changing. So where do we find the center? Where do we find that which doesn't change? That part of us which has been through, who knows, thousands of lifetimes. Who knows, maybe millions of lifetimes. We don't know. That part that's been through all of it, that unchangeable, the present, constant part of us.
Awareness,
that isn't subject to the really difficult things that we have to experience as humans. And this is not I think this is not a walk in the park. I mean, yes, life's a holiday, but in terms of the human dynamic, it's a school. It's a place that we come to experience the contrasts and to experience the pain and the agony and the joy and the beauty and the horrendousness of this experience of contrast. So we're like floating around in the ether somewhere and we say, right, I'm coming down and I'm going to do this thing again because I want to have more contrast. I want my soul needs to evolve into the next thing. So I need to come in and I need to experience these things. But in the human perspective, it's not easy to understand those things. You know, why is a child born with no legs? Why does this person who's a good person get sick and die really early? Why does someone lose all their stuff? Why does someone lose a partner? There's things happening to everybody all the time. So if things are happening to everybody all the time, unfair things, then surely life is fair. Because it's not just happening to some of us; it's happening to everybody.
Yeah.
So then is there any unfairness? Yeah. It's just another question.
It's a matter of changing our level of perception. It's raising our perception to a broader canvas of life. You know, if you're looking at a tapestry and you look at very, very close and you see that little thread going through there, it doesn't seem fair. You know, why is there so much of that color and not enough of this color? But when you stand back from the tapestry, you see the magnificence and the perfection of the whole weave. And so it is with our lives. And I believe as humans we're not meant to see the whole picture. We're meant to only see a little bit of the picture so that we can experience this opportunity of going into those emotions and healing those emotions. But as Michelle mentioned earlier, we have an online community which a lot of you are part of, which is Inner Space. And the theme for this month is expanding our horizons. In other words, lifting our awareness up so that we can see a bigger picture. So when life is not being fair, when we have the perception that life isn't fair, take a deep breath and stand back from the situations and circumstances and events of your life. And come back into that stillness, that ever-present stillness, where everything is balanced. Everything is fair in that stillness. Nothing is out of balance in that stillness. So when life gets very hectic on the outside, it's an opportunity or a call to come back to the real essence of your human beingness in that moment. So it's an alarm clock. If you have a perception that life is treating you unfairly right now, see that unfairness as this alarm clock that's waking you up from the dream of the mind, of the thinking mind, to step back to a greater depth of perception. You know, in the ocean we have waves and we have a lot of turmoil sometimes on the ocean surface. But beneath that, in the ocean, there's stillness. So no matter how hectic life gets on the surface, step into the depth of your true being, and there you will find the holiday, the peace, even the joy that you're looking for. Despite the waves on the surface, there is beauty in the depth of the ocean. In each and every moment, It only takes one conscious breath, one breath taken with full awareness. And one of the techniques that we use is you breathe into the count of 4 and try breathing out to the count of 6 or 8, because it's in the out breath that we sink into the depth of being, into the depth of presence. So try that. Next time the mind is telling you how unfair life is, take a deep breath and just shift your perception from the external to the internal. And we're not in control of the external in the ways that the mind thinks we ought to be, but we are 100% responsible for whether we choose to come into this place of peace within us. That's our creation.
And it's a choice.
And it is a choice.
It is a choice in every moment to, I'm feeling this unfairness, or I'm sensing this unfairness. Usually it's, which is the part of me that feels that this is unfair? It's the mind. It's absolutely the mind. It's the mind that's telling you a story about something which shouldn't be like that. I expected this to happen and it didn't happen, and now it's unfair. I expected that person to behave in that way and they didn't behave in that way. It's unfair. I expected to be treated in this way and I wasn't. I expected to have X, Y, and Z and I don't have it. So what is that? That's our mind. It's our expectations. So it's not saying we don't have those, because we do have them. The human part of the human being has them. The being part doesn't have them. So it's just to say, is this, which part of this? Oh, it's the human part. That's fine. The human part of me is stinging because of that. But then to actually be able to bring yourself back to know that it's not real. Because it's just a thought about something that you think should be different. And that's the process of awakening.
Yeah, really. And you can always change the thought. That's
change it.
That's realization. You are not the thought. You are the awareness, the consciousness, which is directing, attaching itself to certain thoughts and ignoring other thoughts. And you get to choose which thoughts you want to amplify.
We do. And I think it's such a fine line, because it's about being able to feel what you need to feel on the human dimension, but also to see that the being part, the bigger part, the eternal part, has a choice. So if we say, for example, are in a really low place in our lives, we're in the ditch, and we just can't seem to get out of that ditch, it's usually the case we will say, I'm just in this ditch, I can't get out of this ditch, I can't get out of it, I can't get out of it. So that's the reality. You can't get out of it, because you're telling yourself you can't. So it's a choice sometimes to actually change the state as well. So it's not avoidance of it, though, because that's another possibility, isn't it? You can avoid it. You can say, oh, I'm not going to feel this, it's uncomfortable. Or you can say, I'm going to feel this, but I'm not going to get stuck in that. I'm going to feel the feelings, but I'm not going to get stuck there and stay there. Because if you're getting stuck there and staying there, it's your mind saying whatever it's saying to you. It's not the pure feeling anymore.
Yeah, okay? That's true. You must realize that feelings pass through you. Their energy is passing through you. And it takes no more than 7 to 15 seconds for a feeling to flow through you and be gone. If it's there any longer than 15 seconds, it's because it's being regenerated once again by the mind and being refed back to you. So you have this loop. You feel the feeling, the mind then interprets it and brings you another story, and you're recreating that feeling. So just to recognize that any feeling that passes through you and it gets stuck in you for more than 15 seconds, you are creating it in that particular moment. And just going back to what you were saying reminded me of changing my state when I was in that very dark place. Yeah. And I had this perception that life was being unfair, and, there I am, a good person, I've worked so hard, and surely, hard work equals success, Yeah, that's right. And I did a Mind Power workshop back then, and I realized the power of my own thoughts and the power I have within me to think the thoughts that I want to think, which was an impossible situation for me right then, because my circumstances were dictating my thoughts. And what I did is I wrote out an affirmation for myself, which is in total contrast to the way I was experiencing life. And my affirmation back then was, life is great. Now, you know, the reality I was telling myself is, life is unfair.
Yeah.
You know, and then here I've written down this, life is great. And I started saying that over and over and over again. In fact, I put it up on my computer screen as a screensaver. And I had this twirling text, you know, coming at me all the time, life is great. And then I started processing the events of, as they came to me throughout the day, through that new belief pattern, or that filter, or that map of reality, that life is great. And gradually I started to see the good in all that I was going through in that moment, and I started to feel differently. And I now recognize that the words I am are the name of the Creator, and anything you put after those words, you give the Creator's energy to. So if you say, I am stuck,
You're stuck.
then you are, because you're creating that. And if you say, life is great, and you know, the mind will come and say, but it's not, you just, you know, you're in denial, you know, no, you are creating what you think in this moment, you're creating in your next moment. And life is great. To be honest with you, life is always great. It's our mind's misperception of truth that robs us of the perception of the greatness of life. Presence is always beautiful. And so we can use the power of affirmation to change our thinking. So look at what you're currently thinking, and if it's not bringing you joy and peace in this moment, then turn it around. Turn that sentence around to something that will create the joy of life within you in that moment. And start letting that be your mantra over and over again. Not I am stuck or I'm in a hole, but I'm liberated, I'm free, I'm abundant.
I'm joyful.
I'm joyful.
Free, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's the changing of perspective. So let's just say you're stuck in a ditch, a tunnel. Let's just say you were actually stuck in a tunnel. You would not know your way out of the tunnel if you're in the tunnel, because you're seeing, let's say it's a ditch. All you're seeing is the four sides of the ditch. You don't know that there is another reality. So you need to actually change your perspective to see that, oh, no, there's a way out. There's, I don't have to stay in this. There might be there's those stories about those people on the desert islands that think that they're stranded on a desert island, and they're just, oh my goodness, that's the end of my life because I'm stranded on a desert island. And if they'd walked over the hill, they would have seen that there was a village there, you know, because they had to get out of it to actually walk over the hill to see that there was something else. So it's the changing perspective, and you sometimes call it changing state, where if you really are in a low state, change the state. It could be someone that says something to you or sings something to you, or you just taking a deep breath or going outside and looking at a flower and changing your perspective. You actually see, oh, I'm not in the ditch anymore for this brief moment. So I can actually change that state. That's how powerful we are.
Yeah.
We can change. It's a choice in the moment.
In the moment, yeah.
But you've got to realize that you're there. You've got to see it.
And the changing the state is changing the state from closed to open.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing generally.
Yeah.
Because when we are depressed or
down.
or whatever, we close ourselves, we close our heart, and we protect.
We protect. Yeah.
And yet in that protection becomes a prison for us. And the prison is a particularly nice place. So what we can do in that moment, use every challenge that you ever have as another opportunity to open more to life, to be more vulnerable to the world around you, to be more vulnerable. Love needs no protection. Just know that. What is real doesn't need to be protected. Only that which is unreal needs protection and boundaries and, you know, whatever, and walls. But what is real doesn't need any walls. Love has no boundaries, none whatsoever.
So Gina, you ask what's an affirmation to help with fear. I think it's good for you to find your own. But fear, if you think of a situation where you feel fear, you felt fearful, or you feel afraid, feel what it feels like in that moment. What does fear feel like? Now usually it's a constricted, contracted feeling, isn't it? Fear. It's what John's just said. It's a closing down. So what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of fear? what's the opposite of false evidence appearing real? But I mean the feeling of what it feels like to feel fear, anxiety. And it'll often be the opposite of that. So just work with, we can give you words, but it might be nice for you to
find it for yourself.
And we can talk about our inner space, because you're on our inner space. That's a good question.
So why you ask yourself, why do I not enjoy feeling fear? You're creating it.
Yeah.
You're creating the fear, and you're saying you're not enjoying it. Well, what would you enjoy rather than fear?
What would you enjoy?
So then have an affirmation that you are experiencing that, which would be the opposite, obviously, of what fear is, and make that as a statement. I am whatever it is.
Or connect with a time when you aren't fearful, when you weren't fearful. Maybe it's a time when you're working in your garden planting little plants or something. It could be something where you're caring for an animal. Caring for an animal. You're in the moment. How do you feel? That would be the antidote to that. I'm fearful, or I'm stuck. I'm in a tunnel. I'm unable. Just see what's the other part. What's the antidote for that? It would be the opposite of that. Because we are creating it moment by moment, and we do have a choice to stay stuck or not, and to move through something or not, to block it or not, to flow or not. And if we see it as everything is happening for my growth as a soul, so I'm going to open to this, even this, then we're actually moving through it, and we're not blocking the experience and not judging it.
Yeah, an affirmation is not. You might not perceive the affirmation to be true at the moment of saying it, but it will become true for you. Absolutely, it will become true for you if you say it often enough. So you can have, for example, as Muhammad Ali did when he was a young, not very good boxer, and he said, I'm the greatest, and it wasn't not true for him at the time. But as he rewired his brain over the years, he became the greatest boxer because he had laid down those pathways for himself. That's how powerful we are. That's how powerful we, the creator of our thoughts, are. Because through our thoughts, we influence the field of future experience. And that puts a great responsibility on our shoulders for our life experience. Yeah, the thoughts that you used to think have led you to where you are now, and the thoughts you're thinking now are going to create your future experiences. So now's a very good time to start thinking the thoughts you want to think, out of which your future experiences will be born.
Yeah, and then it's a choice. I want to feel more fear and more anxiety, or I want to feel less of that. And so I go into the anxiety state where everything is unfair and poor little me, and feel what that feels like. Doesn't feel good. Okay, what's the opposite? Well, I feel better when I'm expanded, and when I'm open, and when I'm seeing beauty, as opposed to seeing all the bad stuff and seeing all the way that things should be instead of the way they are. So it's a choice. Yeah. And this time is also very much about choices. It's showing us that. Yeah.
And the one choice we always have is between love and fear.
Yeah,
it's our creation. We are choosing moment to moment to follow the path of fear, which is always manipulative, always promising you a future outcome. Where love promises you nothing but delivers you everything. And just one point on affirmations. Affirmations always contain 3 P's. They are positive. So it's not that I want to stop smoking. No, that isn't it. So it's not, you're not pushing against anything. So it's positive, it's present tense, it's I am. You don't have to start it with I am, but it's always got to be a manifestation of now, not a future. And it's got to be personal. You can't create an affirmation for someone else. You can't say, I want them to change so that I can be happy. No, it's always present tense, positive, and personal. Just remember that.
We are in charge of our experience. Yeah. We're not in charge of what happens in the world. Yeah. We can't be in control of that, but we are in charge of what our experience is. Yeah. And for me, it's also, you said love and fear. And what we've already said, it's open or close in any moment. Am I opening or am I closing? That's a very easy one because you can feel it. Yeah, in this moment I'm closing. In this moment my jaw's gone tight and my whole body's closed up.
Yeah.
Or in this moment I'm open. And there's a distinct difference.
Yeah, it's a good barometer, that.
It's the exhale. We asked someone today, how he wanted to feel. How would he feel if he achieved something? And the first thing he did was he breathed out. And then he answered. He went... And then he said how he would want to feel, how he would feel. So it's an exhale. It's
the breathing out is the opening.
That's the opening.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed tonight, please press the like and the share button, and please subscribe as well. Subscribe to our Journeys of Awakening Facebook page, and if you are watching on YouTube, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And if you would like ongoing support, more than these satsangs, we do have the Inner Space group, and we're just starting December now with our Inner Space theme, which is expanding horizons. And in Inner Space we give you a beautiful meditation, we give you some lovely journaling work, a beautiful creative project, and we meet up for 2 90-minute calls
and they're coaching
during the
calls,
month.
basically.
Yeah, coaching calls.
So
we guide you through your process.
But it's live with people commenting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's on our website, and our website is journeysofawakening.com.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. You're going to lead them out with a little centering meditation.
Let's have a card.
Okay, let me just pull one of these cards. So we have a whole pack
Much needed holiday
of affirmation cards here. They're not only affirmations, they're also words of wisdom from our guide. So you can look at it that way. You can look at it the way that they are actually a practical tool to rewire our brain, but they're also a message from our guides to help us in our life journey. So I'm going to just let Michelle choose one.
Oh, I've got 2.
2.
Which one shall I do?
Sure, you've got 2.
Okay, well, we'll do that one because that's very...
Oh, wow. That's quite amazing. But the other one's also nice.
Yeah, both of them are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
so we got a yellow one and a blue one.
Mm-hmm. I'll read both. Shall I? Okay, so I'm sure you're already in a balanced state, but let's just bring ourselves into the vertical plane by just breathing in. So breathing in for 4 counts, and then breathing out through your nose for 6 counts. So breathing all that air out. Now taking another deep belly breath in for 4 counts, all the way in and out for 6. Just see how you feel as you start to slow your breath down, your out breath. Just making the out breath longer than the in breath makes all the difference. It relaxes the parasympathetic nervous system, and it's arguably the quickest way to bring us into presence. This beautiful breath that you're taking now is an absolute gift. It shows us the fairness of the universe. We're all given breath. Just really connect with that breath, moving in and out, this breath of life. And that there's nothing you really need to do. You just need to be here. And all you're doing is observing it. And with each out breath, you're relaxing your body more and more. Just dropping into this precious, sacred, precious present moment. letting go of any thoughts, just for this moment. Releasing any anxieties, any regrets from the past. Letting them just go for now. And just being here now, with pure beingness. Opening your body, so just putting your shoulders back a little bit, consciously opening your hands, allowing them to just rest wherever they are, consciously relaxing your head, the little muscles around your eyes, relaxing the jaw, dropping the tongue a little bit away from the palate so your face relaxes even more. Softening your whole head, your scalp, softening your neck muscles, dropping your shoulders, and opening your shoulders, so putting your shoulders back a little bit, which creates a space in the heart. Relaxing your torso, front and back. Sending a beautiful soft wave of relaxation curling around your spine, washing through all the organs, clearing, opening, liberating, and bringing that down into the hips and the pelvis, letting go of any tension there, into the legs, the knees, the shins, ankles, the feet, each toe on each foot. Now just feeling your body in this place of peace, in this place of balance. And knowing that it's a choice to return to this place in the midst of anything you might be going through. And it takes a few deep breaths, a little bit of awareness, and you can drop right back in. The one affirmation that we got was, I affirm life is always balanced in the now. So really feel into that. Life is always balanced in the now. Feel that. And the other one is, I am a creative being, and I now express this with abundant ease. I am a creative being, and I now express this with abundant ease. Life is always balanced in the now. Beautiful. take a deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
It was beautiful.
Good.
And weren't those affirmations so helpful and so appropriate? Beautiful. I'll photograph them and put them up on the page so you can have a reminder when your thoughts go into life's not fair. You can come back to I affirm life is always balanced in the now. Beautiful. Thank you. Have a beautiful week further. May it be filled with the joy of life in this moment.
Absolutely.
Love you all. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the hearts.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Nighty night.